And I knew there was a Sandy Johnson in the preschool, and there was a Cindy Schaefer. So who is Sandy Schaefer? Is that a combination of both? No, it was another. I mentioned this earlier before everyone was on, but since we got most everybody here, let me just do one other thing. Make sure that nobody sent me an email trying to say, hey, are you coming or not? Okay, good. All right, just making sure. Anybody else using older versions of Outlook with Exchange type of setup, trying to talk to Outlook.com that has had issues where they had to migrate? Okay, well, if you come across somebody who's still trying to do Outlook 2007 or Outlook 2010, and they're trying to connect up to the Outlook.com account, they'll probably have to upgrade to 2016. Or at least experiment a lot with it to try and make it work. I had to upgrade my email clients to using Outlook 2016 in order to read my Outlook.com successfully. And once I did that, no more problems. So, and a couple other things that I noticed. One of the other things that came from this presentation that I put for later is, like I said, I had two machines that were basically identical to each other, both running the exact same February 8th patch to 21R2, but they were different from each other. And it happened from what image I upgraded from originally. On the other machine, not this one, I had upgraded the same way this one had. I had upgraded from 1903 to 2004. And then sometime while it was on 2004, it became unusable. I couldn't boot it either on Win 7 or Win 10. And I ended up re-imaging it starting with 2004. This one was stable from 1903 to 2004 and upgraded to 21R2. And both machines got upgraded to 21R2 about the same time. Oh, do you want me to enable that? Okay, good. Okay. All right. So I had these two machines, but they were different from each other. Okay. I had to recover the one and basically pulled all the data across and copied the hard drive and reformatted it. So I didn't have a dual boot anymore. It was just Win 10. And I was probably missing some stuff along the way. But I did, try and search out some certain things. And one of the distressing things was my printer driver for my HP 4000 TN. When I tried to load the same driver on 21R2 that had run on 2004, when I finally upgraded that one machine, it said, you can't use this driver. We're not supporting that driver here. And I thought that was kind of weird because it was already installed on the other machine and working fine. But I'll leave to my presentation on how I actually solved that problem. But the one that was available online with Microsoft no longer worked on the newer versions of the operating system. So you could download it, you can try and run it, but it gives you the error message. And I'm not sure about other solutions for it because some of the things, maybe you have memory protection enabled in the core security option, but I don't have that option on this machine. So I kind of doubt it's that. Either that or it's got to be something like a policy edit to fix it. Okay. All right, now we're filling up the screen here. I think one or two more people is going to resize the entire grid. Excuse me. Okay, so Kathy's here.
Hello.
Hello. I didn't see any problems sent them from you this week or this month. Did you have anything you needed to share?
I do have a problem, and I didn't have time. I was celebrating St. Patrick's Day today. Well, big deal. I had corned beef and cabbage. Woo! It was good though. If you want good corned beef and cabbage, Omega down on Wise Road, right by Irving Park, really good corned beef and cabbage on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah. Everyone was saying how expensive the corned beef was going to be. Did you remember hearing all that?
No.
I went and got, I think it was a 5-pound slab of corned beef from Costco, and it was $4.99 a pound.
We bought the same thing. I bought a 5-pound corned beef brisket from Costco.
And it was great. Put it in the slow cooker and turned it loose. Yeah, I didn't. My wife did. Better qualify that.
All you gotta do is throw it in the slow cooker and little water or something and turn it on. That's it.
And she put all the spice packets in, and then the cabbage needed a little help, needed a bigger thing than we had, but we actually did it yesterday because with babysitting, we didn't have much time today, so now we can enjoy it 2 days in a row.
Lemon cake.
Okay, so this is the point in time in the meeting where we have open forum, and this is your opportunity to ask questions. So do we have any questions that anybody here can volunteer to answer?
I have one.
Okay.
Well, I was on some website, and it was a website that had music on it, and it was a band website, and I wanted to play some of their music to hear what they sounded like. I didn't know who they were. I didn't know what their music was like. So I went to play their music, and to play the music, I had to click on Spotify, and I don't have, to the best of my knowledge, I didn't have a Spotify icon or a Spotify installed on my computer. So, I clicked on Spotify, and it opened up, and I listened to the music and everything. And then when I was done and I went to, finish up, and before I was going to get off the computer, I just went to close out Spotify, and I powered down. And when I powered it up the next time, Spotify was still there on the taskbar on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked and I said, okay, and I right-clicked on it, and it said close or exit, one of those two. And I clicked on it, and it did close it. And then I powered down, and the next time I powered up again, Spotify was back again.
Okay.
So I didn't know how to get rid of it, because when I right-clicked on it, there were only several options, and it was just like an option to close, not to remove the icon. So I looked online, and I found some discussion out there how to do it. And I can't remember how I did it. This was about 3 weeks ago. I don't remember how I did it, but whatever the instruction was online, I followed the steps, and I thought I did it okay. And I powered down, and I came back up, and Spotify was back again. So just now, before I came onto the Zoom meeting, I tried it again, and it told me to go into settings. I just brought it back down. It told me to go into settings, and it told me to go to personalization, and then go to the notification area. And I brought that up, and it shows which were the icons that were listed, and which ones were supposed to appear and which ones weren't supposed to appear. And it said that the Spotify icon was off, but I'm looking at it right now on my other computer, and the Spotify icon is still sitting there.
Well, do you want to remove Spotify?
Yes.
Then what you want to do is go into settings and apps and find it in the program list and remove it there.
Except for one thing, it's a built-in app. You
Oh,
can't
it is?
remove it.
Oh, you
It's
can't?
built-in.
Built into
You
Windows
can,
10?
but it's a lot more brain surgery on your computer.
Oh, I didn't know that was an app right now.
It is a built-in, and it's meant to be on your taskbar all the time. Microsoft is pushing Spotify I have the same problem. It pushes and pushes and pushes.
Hmm.
But
Oh,
I have some setting, I have Pro, so I have some setting that makes it not appear on the taskbar and not start as a startup. That I can control, but it's still there. And if I use it, it will want to come back and back and back. Because another thing, Windows by default never shuts down. It goes into a suspend state. And that's why you aren't really getting the full effect of a restart. It's not a cold reboot.
oh,
You
because
can do a cold reboot, though. There is
Yeah.
a way to do that too.
Yeah, there is.
I mean, it's not the end of the world. Right now, I still have some space left on the taskbar that if I ever want to add anything else, there's a few more spots I have left. So it's not the end of the world. I just thought it was irritating that it wasn't there until I went onto that one website. And now, suddenly it's there and I can't get rid of it. So,
Yeah, that's how they rope you in.
okay.
Doesn't that sound like a relative? They rope you in and you just can't get rid of them?
Yeah,
Now-
Right, Sid.
it
But
comes
we're
to
trying-
stay and you can't get it to leave. Yeah.
Very- And this is on Windows 10. I don't have a Windows 11 machine yet, so this is on Windows 10.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter. It's both. It's both 10 and 11.
Okay.
11 makes it even worse, but 10 is bad enough.
What
Okay.
am I missing, Bob? I've never seen it on any of my 10s or my 11.
Me?
You've
Am I
never
just
used it?
lucky?
You've never used it yet.
That's true. I pay for a title account instead. It's much better fidelity.
Yeah. If you ever use Spotify through Windows using their app, or if a website tricks you into doing it, you're stuck with it. It's like that news and information thing on the taskbar. Yeah, you can get rid of it, but it's a real pain to do.
I cannot stand that news and information because if you accidentally just touch it with your cursor and you didn't mean to, it pops up. And it's like, no, I don't want to see news and information.
Yep. Hover and pop up.
Yeah.
That's the new
Hover
thing.
is turn offable though in settings. You can turn the hover thing off.
Yeah.
Because I
You
did
can?
that because it was really bugging me. So yeah, one of these settings options, if you pull that up and you got the little cog,
Uh-huh.
one of the settings options was to turn that thing off. So instead of hover, you have to click on it.
Okay.
Because that was really bugging me.
Okay. I'm going to,
Well, in
Sure.
the more FYIs, I've published at least a couple times how to get rid of the weather app. I haven't seen anything on the Spotify because it's not showing up on my stuff. Probably like Bob said, I haven't gone out there, so it's not active. It's just sitting there dormant.
well,
Can't
if
you,
Yeah.
can't you switch it so in the taskbar, in the task settings to start up, to not start?
no, here, let me go back into it and see. So, okay.
Again,
Startup
again, with some of these
programs is for
built-ins, with some of
programs,
the,
not for apps.
yeah, programs not for apps.
You have to go
Tim is
into
right.
apps settings, under settings, in order to try and remove them. But if it's now a built-in app, all bets are off.
Yeah,
Hmm.
the behavior of built-in apps is getting more and more intrusive.
Well, I did publish an article that said that they were adding a couple apps. I didn't know what they were. I didn't bother reading the article.
Yeah, that's mostly Teams and things like that. Teams will always be there in 11.
Yeah, well, I mean, Teams in 11 is just chats, and it's not the full version. And to me, that Teams chat in 11 is useless. Whereas for board meetings, I use the desktop version that goes back to running on Windows 8, I think.
So So Sid, what did you say about that news? You said you weren't able to get rid of it, but you were able to make it not display. Is that what you said?
Hold on, there it is. I'm too many windows open. No, I can both get rid of it, or you can set it so that it's not hover activated. It has to be click on activated. In 11, they've now moved it over to the left with widgets in the latest update. That was
Can you get rid of it in Task Manager, modifying the startup?
Yes, you can.
I mean, there's several ways that I just did a quick scan of how to make it less obtrusive. One of them is to launch Spotify and hit the 3 dots for the settings and go and edit preferences, advanced, and then you can choose how you want it to open on startup or not open on startup into the system tray or something like that. So you can minimize its effect. Maybe you can even disable it on startup. I'm not sure.
What were those steps you just said, Ed?
The one way to do it is
okay. I don't know what I did, but it just disappeared. Spotify disappeared.
You open Spotify and then you go into Spotify settings, and a lot of programs that I've had that launch and persist, sometimes there's an option within the program to disable that behavior. I've done that on more than one program where I went in and says, don't run all the time. Go and uncheck that box. Don't sit here. I don't need you to run every time on startup. I can disable that on some of these apps. So on Spotify, I think it's the settings, preferences, advanced. And then you should be able to find some of the options in there to minimize its effect on your machine. And then once you've done that, you may just want to go into Task Manager and look on the Startup tab and see whether or not Spotify is launching on Startup and burn them out of there.
I don't think you'll find it in the startup tab, because
it might come back, okay? But I'm just saying is that you've made an attempt to say to Windows, if you start it again, I'm going to change you to Linux.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I have like Glare Utilities free. I can remove that startup any number of times I want to, and it'll come right back with every update that I do to the program. And it'll always come back.
Well, it depends on if you use the program again. If she's not going to be using Spotify because she doesn't want to have a free Spotify account that shares her information across a half a dozen servers in Eastern Europe, yeah.
Yeah, but what if she comes upon another one of these sites where she wants to sample the music?
Yeah.
And it comes up in Spotify.
Yeah.
It might happen.
If that ever comes up again, I'll make sure to use only this computer. So since now I'm stuck with Spotify on this computer, I won't at least do it on my other computer. So
I asked them to look and see whether they have a YouTube option on a free YouTube channel.
There
that's-
you go. There you go.
That's the trick. Some of these sites, they are exclusive. Some of these new bands are exclusive to Spotify or exclusive to YouTube. It depends.
Well, most of the stuff I listen to is all for free on YouTube, except for the commercial every 20 minutes.
But I would like to go back to how to get rid of the hover on the news, that news thing.
Yeah, news and weather.
News and weather.
I published how to remove it at least a couple times. I can't do more than that.
Where, when you say you published it, where is that at?
The CCS news and tips, but it's the website. You're not going to find it there. You have to contact Beata Kernan in order to subscribe, opt in for the Moores and FYI tips.
Okay.
And then every time I publish one, no later than the next day, she'll send out the latest version. But you're not going to find that tip right now. It's
archived.
Well, right-click anywhere on your taskbar, and one of the things on that pop-up list should say news and something else like weather. And then you can slide to the right, and there's a turn off.
Okay.
News and interests.
Yeah.
News and
Okay,
interests.
I see news and interests. Oh, and then click on turn off.
Yes.
Yeah, it could either be icon and text, icon only, or turn off. And it can do open on hover, which can be checked or unchecked.
Oh, okay. Well, it just disappeared. I clicked turn off and now it disappeared altogether.
And
That
that's
will do
perfectly
it.
fine. Yes. If I wanted to get the news and weather, I have this thing called Google, but if I pronounce its name, it'll jump up and talk.
There you go.
Well, I have
That's the way to do it.
YAHOO.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. I'm afraid to put in that other thermostat because it responds to Alexa.
Don't say that, mine will trigger.
Well, that's what I'm afraid of because it's a single word. I wish that some of these assistants, you could change it, to Jarvis.
You can with the A word guy. You can change it. I think there's 4 optional words. Computer, the A word, and I forget the other 2. I think there were 4 words you had the option to use for that.
Well,
A2 wasn't one of them.
yeah, I was asking Google some question, and I asked it a question about somebody who'd passed away, and then it volunteered some more information. Do you want to know something else like here? And I said, no, thank you. I already know that. And it responded, well, you and I both.
There you go. You notice there it's not only can you turn it off, but you can also right there is where you change open on hover and take off the little check in front of open on hover.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is how you do that. So you go under news and interest, you can change it to icon and text, icon only, turn it off, and you can turn off open on hover there so that it won't pop when you just go over it. It was doing that to me all the time.
Okay.
Just driving me crazy.
Okay, now I'm trying it on this computer. I don't see, oh, click on news and interests and then
And then choose what you want to do with it.
I don't see.
Then there's an
Oh,
open on hover at the bottom.
oh, I see it. Got it. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Yep.
At least, you can't get rid of it, but at least it's,
Well, there's a turn off option there also.
well, yes, that's true. That's what I just did on the other computer. I got it. Thank you.
Let's see, is there any other way I can remove any of the other ones, though? No, you can't play with the other icons, huh? Used to be able to modify some of those. I think I have expanded my system icons all the time rather than letting them collapse. So unless I want to drag and make the taskbar twice as big, so I have twice as much room for icons, then I have to watch out.
Well, they don't want to make it too easy. The other thing weird is if you click on the cog under news and interest, you could pick cards. So if you want sports or you want traffic or that kind of thing. But you can't customize that down to teams, for instance. I mean, why is there no way to set which teams you want to hear about?
Yep, that sounds like good inconsistency. Yeah.
It seems just so damn obvious, but there's no way to edit the card to what you want on it. By the way, Bob, I don't know if you noticed in the latest update on 11, you now actually get the clock on multiple screens. They finally fixed that on the latest update.
Yep. Still a work in progress.
Yep. Says anybody else out there use the volume licensing support center?
No.
You're not supporting anybody who uses the volume licensing like a non-for-profit organization? Because in around April 4th, Microsoft will disable a lot of the on-premise products. So you won't be able to access your content that way anymore. It'll still be there for some select people. and they have the reasoning behind it. But in case you've had access to download almost free copies of Office and are highly discounted, they will still provide significant discounts on some of their products, but they're trying to move all the nonprofits and the people that schools and such to Office 365 subscriptions, which would be discounted. But I'm not quite a fan of Office 365 yet. I like to have it on my machine and not have to connect to the internet if I'm able to or not. Because sometimes I happen to have my machine and it's not hooked up to a Wi-Fi access point because there isn't one within a quarter mile.
Hey,
Is there, I'm sorry, I just wondered with Office 365, if it's a leap year, is there one day you don't get to use it?
I think so. I think that's the way it works.
could I interject?
Sure.
I'm having a problem, maybe about a month or so. It has to do with the PC. I got a all-in-one PC desktop, Windows 10. For about a month or so, when you start it up, it sort of freezes for about 1 to 2 minutes, can't do nothing. Then it goes back to normal. Recently, about 2 weeks ago, during different, when you got it on, using the arrow prompt, it sort of jerks around. You know, it's not as smooth, it jerks back and forth, up and down for about 30 seconds or so. When I was able to, I would look up the Process Explorer. The only thing that sort of really stands out that I'm not familiar with, anywhere from 70 to 90% system idle process. Okay, and then everything else was normal, like the Brave, Avast, antivirus, hardware interrupts. But it
How old is the all-in-one?
let's say I've been here 3 years, for about 4 years old.
Okay. Has it got a SSD in it?
Not
Or has it got a spinning hard drive?
spinning.
Spinning hard drive. I still would go into your admin console and look and see if there's any errors being posted there, like some errors either on the hard drive or anything else that's coming up with an error.
Nope. I mean, I did a system file checkup. Those
Not
things
system file checkup, going into the message logs under the admin and see if there are any errors getting posted.
Okay, I can.
Yeah, I mean, you can go into Windows Explorer, find this PC and right-click manage and get to it through that method, I think.
Okay,
Aldo, how much memory has that machine got?
it's got 8. I mean, it's
Okay.
decent.
Uh,
8 with 1 gigabyte memory. Whatever.
well,
I mean,
yep.
if you can interrogate the smart statistics on the hard drive, because most of them support that, and see what it says. Because if the hard drive is starting to deteriorate and it's basically remapping bad blocks, it might be trying to tell you something.
Yeah, the only other thing I can think of that may be causing you an issue is what is automatically starting up. And it doesn't always show up in the startup folder of Task Manager. You have to usually have third-party tools like Glare Utilities, optimize startup options, and there's the first 2 tabs on that screen there. One is for the actual startup, and the other one is for the schedule. And it allows you to disable a whole bunch of them and still keep all your functionality, and it makes a big difference.
Yeah, how full is your system hard drive?
Cool.
Your system hard drive is not full at all?
No, it's about half. So I got tons of room.
Okay, so it's not a space issue.
No, I do have Glare. I did the startup stuff, and still got a problem.
Have you checked Device Manager for driver issues?
Not yet.
Well, when you go in looking for the system logs, look at the device manager while you're right next door there and see if anybody comes up with a like an international no or a yellow icon on it, and that tells you something's having a problem along the way.
Okay.
Drivers
Good
need
tip.
updating, and the drivers are the universal translators between the physical hardware and the rest of your operating system and programs.
Yeah.
Did this happen after an update?
And I'm trying to figure it out. Windows 10 did do an update. Okay, and I'm trying to think, did it start when I did the update or not? And I really can't pin it down, but it did do it, Windows update.
You can go into Windows Update and look at update history to get the dates of when those were applied, if that helps you try and settle on when something may have happened. The other thing I like to do is go into the installed program list and then sort it by date in newest order and see whether or not I see anything there that I didn't load in.
Okay. Oh, and additional problem. Got a wireless printer.
Mm-hmm.
So far, never. All of a sudden, in about a week or so, computer can't find it. Right. So I gotta go through the settings, devices, printer, troubleshooting. Then usually finds a problem, says it's okay. Now and then I can't find a problem. So go through a whole bunch of different process. So that's another issue.
Okay, but Aldo,
Yep.
does that printer have a static address or not?
I'm pretty sure it does. Not a
Double
right,
check
not a
it.
random.
Double check that it's static, because it sounds like it's set to dynamic addressing, and it's changing the address
Yeah.
periodically on you, and that's why it's not talking to it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good
And
lead.
you can also, if you do set it to a static address, usually if you know what your router's IP DHCP range is, set it up at the other end of the range. Don't go to the 255 era, but down a little bit. So my DHCP addresses, I sign from 1 to 224, and then above that, I put my static.
Right.
Either that or start it at 100 and go to 230 or whatever, and then put them at below 100. Either way works.
Got no problem with Wi-Fi. We got it throughout the whole building. So one unit is like a few feet away, you might say. So I got good Wi-Fi connections.
Okay.
You don't have anything USB that you leave plugged in all the time, like an external drive or even your mouse?
That's true. I do have two external drives. One is the Macrium, the other one is the Cobian, which more or less I should be doing a presentation next time. So yes, I do have external.
Every once in a while, USB stuff that's plugged in, if it's left in there all the time, when you start up, it starts having a fault every once in a while. It may be in the device itself. I've never been able to really tag it, but usually unplugging the device, and if the problem goes away, you know that you got a problem somewhere with plugging it in.
All right, I think that's a good lead. Another good lead, which you did plug in a little, start the two external drives not that long ago. All right, that's good. Hey,
Cool.
A lot of good tips.
All right. Other questions? So we got time here.
Thank you.
That was your only problem today, Kathy? I'm surprised.
Yes, that was my only problem since last month. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll throw something out.
Sure.
More of a statement than a question, but if you want questions, I got those too. T-Mobile is doing a deal right now. You get a free Samsung tablet. Then they have a $10 a month data plan that gives you 10 gig of data per month, of which you're allowed 5 gig a month tethering included in that.
Wow. That sounds pretty good.
My,
But you have to use a T-Mobile phone to do this, right? So you have to switch your phone to T-Mobile to support this?
You have to do it. Well, no, there's no phone involved.
Just a tablet?
It's the tablet.
The tablet is the host. Okay.
Yeah.
So the tablet is a 4G or 5G tablet.
5G support.
5G tablet. Okay. That makes
Is that
sense.
with the internet service that T-Mobile is offering?
It's not part of their home internet. It's just their regular data plan, but they're running it as a promo. there are two promo codes. Be careful. One promo code is $10 a month exclusive. One is $10 a month inclusive. The $10 a month inclusive includes tax in the $10. The exclusive adds all the taxes and fees on top of the $10. And it's two separate promo codes.
Interesting.
The other thing is the free tablet. It is 24 months. It's divided into 24 months of payments. And it ends up free at the end of the 24 months. If you cancel anytime early, you owe them the full $200 for the tablet. So be aware of that also.
Don't.
Yeah.
Well, it might be worth it if you want the tablet for $200, right?
Well, to me, the tablet doesn't mean anything. To me, it's the hotspot.
Right.
You're talking $10 a month for a hotspot with 5 gig of data is not bad.
Yeah. Okay.
And it includes the ability to roam from Mexico and Canada. And as part, it's actually a magenta plan.
Oh.
And it's unlimited data, but after you use that a lot, it drops you to 3G speed.
If 3G is still there.
Well, no, it's still going through the network at the high speed.
Yeah.
It cuts the speed rate down. It's not actually changing the
Okay.
light.
Has anybody else run into where they've disabled some of the 3G plans and the 3G stuff in the area, so they had to upgrade you to at least a 4 or 5G interface?
Yeah, I know 2 people who had to get new phones.
Well, I'm waiting because Verizon will drop their 3G at the end of this year. That means a whole lot of OnStar vehicles are going to become unusable.
Maybe they'll replace the vehicle for you.
I don't think they'll replace the vehicle. They'll give you something that plugs into your diagnostic port called OnStar for most vehicles. They'll just give you one of those for free, and that's how they'll connect you.
So when it's disconnected, it becomes off-star instead?
It's OnStar in a box then. I have a particular issue with OnStar since they changed some stuff. I'm waiting for them to send me the free dongle before I disconnect.
And they went through that OnStar thing about 10 years ago when they made upgrades in the phone system. So everybody got disconnected off the GM cars. There was a lot of people ready for a class action suit, but it didn't do them any good.
Nope. Oh, but we gave that to you. There's no cost. Yeah.
But
But
it disables a paid service that they also had too.
Yes.
So they lost that.
True. But I know that I've had several other things that I had that connected up that were using 3G that have been disconnected, and now I had to get updated interfaces for. And it just happened that they went all the way, I think, to, I think they only went to 4G with the upgrade, which means they may have to upgrade it again when 5G pushes out all the 4G and they have to say, we need something else. Okay. Let's see, what other things did I have to talk about? Pretty much, I had recently just experimented. I was trying to migrate and use on our church's website an email server. So the site is hosted by Squarespace, and Squarespace will offer you email, but they'll charge you $62 a year for email on your site. But it is really a charge for Google Workspace. But if you're a nonprofit, you can get Google Workspace for nonprofits for free. And they didn't have an option to support that. Okay, so I signed up for Google Workspace for nonprofits, and I finally I had to do a chat with one of the guys from Google, and I was talking with him, and I think he was probably in Mumbai at the time, But he said, oh, I know what your problem is. It's the MX records on your website. You need to delete those errand MX records. So I went in and deleted them, and my email started working in both directions then. Was able to send, I just wasn't able to receive. And once I did that, I could finish the receive, and then I could finish my Google Workspace for Nonprofits with the normal activation then. Okay, somebody else just joined, right? Good. But it took some doing. It was not for the weak of heart, to go through some of this stuff. And when you start to delete records on Squarespace, it says, when you delete this, you don't have any recovery from this. So I hope you know what's there. This is permanent when you delete this record. Okay, let's try it. Click, click. And it was gone, and all of a sudden stuff started working. So I was very happy with that. Still didn't answer my problem with my Microsoft licensing. They still didn't say, they didn't like my the website or the name I was using. They wanted to have the name of the company as part of your domain when you sign up for the volume licensing to be able to do downloads without worrying about you only have 7 left to do downloads with. But that may become a moot point after April 4th anyway, if they're going to disallow future downloads. Okay, well, let's see. What do I got here? I do have my presentation. I can go through that. And then, unless somebody else got another question, any other questions? If not, I'll go ahead and start with my presentation.
I just put up there the package from T-Mobile. If I read that right, my total cost is $5 a month.
Wow. Okay.
With the tablet, it takes off the promo amount. It takes off $5 a month for auto pay, and it ends up at $5 a month. Wow,
that's pretty good. Galaxy Tab A7 Lite. What is light?
Light is the absence of darkness.
I know it's the absence of darkness, or it is physically light, like they only put half the apps in there. Right.
I have no idea. It's the one they're offering for free with adding the line. So
right.
You
okay.
can also get a better Samsung if you want to for 50% off, but it's $700 to start with. So.
Yeah, and I finally broke down today and ordered a new battery for my original Nook 1 Wi-Fi only. I just got tired of having to leave this thing plugged in when I wanted to use it, because I'd get maybe about 4 or 5 hours before it would say, I'm sorry, the battery's gone critical. We have to wait until you charge it up before we can come back.
How expensive was the battery?
$18.
Because I have a Nook first gen. Actually, I have 2 of them. The first one I broke the screen on. It's got like streak lines running up and down. But the other one is...
Yeah, mine's the original Nook one without the 3G, just has the Wi-Fi. And I've downloaded all kinds of books and removed my DRM and formatted them so I could put them on the Nook. A lot of open, like public domain stuff. Classics, John Carter, the entire series. But no, I was looking at some of the batteries that I could put in there, but some of them weren't the full milliampere hour, 5.7 watt hours or whatever ampere hours that were claimed by these things. So we'll see if this one works the way it's supposed to, plugs in the same spot, and I don't have to modify anything.
That would be cool. By the way, if people are interested, most libraries now have Kindles and Nooks for checkout that are loaded with books. Schomburg has a non-fiction version and a fiction version with hundreds of books on each.
They have a sci-fi one?
They have a fiction and a non-fiction.
Okay, yeah.
And the dumb part of it, and I've talked to them about it, they add books on their monthly, so the folders are the year month that they added the new stuff, which makes it a real pain to categorize and find something in the long list.
Well, the question is, what happens if you just plug in a USB connection and plug it into your laptop? Can you see all of those books?
I don't know. I didn't try that.
Because that's the way I put books on my Nook. I don't download it from Wi-Fi. I just hook up the USB and I put them right in there and go back and forth and whatever.
I don't know. The other thing is, in Schaumburg at least, it's, in most libraries like Bloomingdale, it's out on the shelf. You just grab the pack. Schaumburg keeps it locked in a cabinet behind the information desk in the fiction area, and you have to ask for it, and she'll bring it out of the cabinet behind her.
Uh-huh. And they'll say, which one do you want?
Well, yeah, and I had to talk to them. The lady there didn't even know they had the difference.
Oh, they gave you the nonfiction one. Ah.
No, they gave me the one I asked for, but it was the nonfiction I asked for. But
Okay.
they didn't even know that they had the different ones there. Nobody had ever, because it's kept locked up, nobody knows they have it.
Wow.
So virtually nobody ever asked.
Yeah. I mean, I gave up trying to buy Nook versions of some of the books. What I had been doing is buying Kindle versions because Amazon would give me a discount. And then I had a utility that would remove the DRM from the Kindle version. And then I'd load it onto my Nook, put it into an EPUB format, and that was the easiest one for it to handle.
Yeah, I've been on my trial of the Kindle Unlimited, which ends in, I think, a few more weeks. I've got to remember to cancel. It's on my calendar to cancel it. What's weird about that is it's unlimited. You're supposed to be able to take all you want and read it. You don't get that. It doesn't work that way. You get a max of 3 magazines per month. So I do Consumer Reports as one of them. But you get a total of 3. And the books aren't the latest books. They talk about there being millions of books at Unlimited. They're all old crap stuff. You want new stuff, sorry. There was a book that just came out. It's not available for Unlimited, but you're welcome to buy it.
Yeah, it sounds like they got you, Sid.
Well, I bought the new Paperwhite. That's how I got a 4-month thing.
Oh, and this came with it for free. I understand.
Right, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all
As
right.
long as you remember to discontinue it before it triggers the monthly charge.
But you get what you pay for.
Yep.
Well, I know that they used to put free ones out there. If you had with the Nook, every once in a while you get a new one. 6,000 pages worth of abridged stories or something like that. Or the entire works of Sherlock Holmes and everything else.
And most people know if you have Prime, you get a free book every month.
I've never used that, but I may try to, so I'll have to see.
Yeah, February they let you have 2 of the choices.
Right.
I usually wait till the last week of the month before I go there because by then there's lots of reviews available on them.
Okay.
What people have reviewed on it. If you go early in the month, you're sort of.
Is it a particular book collection that they will select and that this is your free choices?
You have a choice. There's usually a couple. There's usually a historical fiction, a contemporary fiction, a biography or autobiography, a comedy book, a kid's book, and 1 or 2 others. Those are usually your choices.
Okay.
What bugs me on the sci-fi side is if there is an option, it's usually book 1 of a series.
And they want you to hook you into the rest.
Yeah, they're not giving you the rest.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anybody else got a question? We'll get started on the presentation then. Okay, here we go. Okay, everyone can see this? Nobody's got a problem. All right. Okay, so let me get started a little bit on how this came about. I have 2 HP laptops. One's an i5, one's an i7. They both started life with Windows 7, and they were upgraded to dual boot around 1903 version of Win 10. One of them just flat out died, would not boot Win 7, would not boot Win 10, And I ended up reformatting it and installing it with 2004 because it had already been upgraded to 2004. Are you saying bye-bye? Bye-bye. I have to say bye-bye to this little one here. Yes.
Bye-bye.
This one right here.
I say yeah.
That's Elena. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. So I had two of these machines. One of them still, it went from 2004 to 21R2 and still has the dual boot capability. The other one is just 2004 to 21R2, and both of them were pretty much about the same, but I primarily used this laptop, and I didn't use the other one until recently when I had to migrate from my Win 7 primary machine for email because Outlook stopped being nice with Outlook 2007. So I was sort of forced to moving to Outlook on Win 10 with Outlook 2016, which seemed to work fine. So I migrated to the other machine, reformatted the old Win 7 partition on it, and threw a copy of the contents of my Win 7 laptop over to it. And I noticed, oh, I'm missing the printer driver. Okay. See you later, PJ.
I'm trying to go down.
So I was going through and I was trying to find a driver for it. And for my HP 4000 TN. And here I am in 21R2, and I found the same driver that I had loaded on the previous machine. And guess what? It said, you can't load this driver here, but you just did on the previous version of this operating system. What gives? That's when I discovered when Windows 10 isn't Windows 10. You can have two Windows 10 machines that started off life similarly, but if you reinstall one, things will move around. So, all right. So why Windows 10? Because 789. Yes. So a little background, it is the more stable version of Windows currently available, and 11 may not be supported on any of my hardware. And you'll have to look at the requirements. If you just go into Windows Update, you'll see right away whether or not your machine is capable of running Windows 11, and it'll probably say no. So Windows 10 might be one of the last OSs you might be installing on some older hardware unless you've decided to go Linux. But not all of these versions are the same. So even though 21R2, that's a typo, is the most current version of today, others may still be running 21R8, it's H2, 21H2 and 21H1. Someone may be running the older releases, 2004 or even 1903. But the older versions aren't going to be receiving any updates. Microsoft already shut down most of the updates, other than the fact if you want to go to 21R2, you can go there. So, I have these two laptops. They're both second-gen Intel processors, i5 and i7. One started with 1903 in dual boot. The other one was 1903 in dual boot, but it blew up one day, and I did a 2004 Win 10 only fresh install. Let's get back to it. Okay, so, and both of them updated in 21 December 2021 from 2004 to 21H1. But there are differences between the two. And you notice this whenever you access another machine and you try and access the My Documents folder from one machine to the other. The default folder for documents on my original 1903 i7 upgrade laptop is my username, My Documents, which is where most people expect to find things. On the 2004 upgraded laptop, the My Documents is just Documents, and it's on the desktop. And that's the default location it put it. So that's one difference that you don't notice until you start trying to copy stuff between two places, and you try and click on and says, you can't get this folder, you can't get this folder. What do you mean I can't get this folder? And then you go over to it, you can't get to this folder either. It's in a different location. Granted, you should be able to move some of these things. I have not experimented with this move, but that's not the default place where it put it. So, interestingly enough, it wasn't the place you expected, and it's not the place you wanted. My HP 4000 TN driver. when I tried to install it on the i5, either it got removed along the way when it went from 2004 to 21H2, or I never installed it. It could have been I never installed it because I didn't use it at the time. But that driver is no longer compatible with 21H2. The 21H2 says this driver is not supported by this operating system. And this is the exact same file I installed on the other machine. So I'm quandary, what am I going to use for a driver? I tried some generic ones and they were horrible. They did not work at all. However, this machine, the i7 that got upgraded from 1903 to 2004, it still had the driver. How do I get the driver from here to there? Here's the secret. I found this little tidbit. I had never used this concept before, but on the working machine, you can launch something called print management. You can go to manage printers and it'll allow you an option to export the file. So then it creates a special .printer export file. And once you have that, you can take that to the non-working machine and go into print management again and import it. Brings all the settings, brings all the drivers. And it worked fine on the other machine after I imported it. So something in one of these upgrade paths converted the driver or set some magic registry option to allow that driver to exist that got ported over to the other side. And unfortunately, you can't take apart the print management file to see what it changed, like what registry settings it may have changed, what drivers it may have added, and other options. But this is a good tidbit. If you got something working on another machine, or you ever want to save a copy of what's working on your machine before you do a reinstall or upgrade, you best be doing something like this so you don't have to do a full restore and then try and pull it off of the restored image. And other differences that I noticed between the two machines. One machine wanted to run Groove Music whenever you clicked on an MP3. I never set and used Groove Music, but it just sort of popped in there as the default. On the 2004, Windows Media Player was the default app for the MP3 files. Who thinks about this? And when I verified the print management to see exactly when it was done, it was the exact same release when I did this. So these two machines were identical when I did this. So you may want to make sure you're not trying to do print management across a whole different point release of an operating system. May not work. Might have some other issues. But that's just some of the things I found. There's probably others as well. As I have continued to discover things, I've been writing them down. But these were the big ones that caused me to, stop in my tracks and said, how am I going to get this driver? I even looked on HP websites. Granted, I am talking a printer that was originally shipped to the customers about 24 years ago. But there's still a lot of HP 4000s out there, and those are literally T-34 tanks. Not much stops them except an RPG or the wrong driver. So, and that's basically what I had for my presentation. Anybody have any questions?
How did you get to print management?
You can just go down into the launch bar and type print management, and it's an app on Win 10. Yeah, if you want to, I will do a, hold on, let me type it right. Print management. Okay, let me show you what it looks like. So I will do a share here as soon as I can get to my share screen. No, that's not the one. That's the one right there. Okay, so that's what the print management looks like. Okay, and if you just do action, action. There's a manage options. There's the standard ones. Let's see. And I know there's in here, there's an export. I'm trying to look at my export list. This will give you the list of printers. And the other one is, I think I got to go on to a thing like this. I got to go down to here, manage printers. You click on that, migrate printers. And now here's where you can export. So you can choose and you can export it to a server name or the print server or so, you know, and then you can continue and it will ask, you know, whichever way you need to do it. See, I think I did this. Let's see, export printers to a file right there. And then it dumps all of this. This is the only time you're going to see the contents of this, but it also adds all the drivers to it. And what I needed was this guy right here. Okay. Now, when it actually brought it across to the target machine, it merged the two together. And I had to delete some duplicates. But that was relatively easy to remove a printer and said, do you want to remove this printer? Yes, make it go away.
Ed, you do know that we can't see any drop-down menus over Zoom.
Oh, sorry. Okay. You can see the thing.
Unless you share your whole desktop.
Well, let's just do that then. I don't know if I will do the sharing. I'll just do the whole, share the whole desktop.
I think you can also share an area of your desktop.
Yeah, let's see if I can do that. Here, we'll just do the screen. Hopefully that fits everybody's thing. All right, so here is what you're going to see. Export footage to a file. And then it gives you all of this information, which is all of my ports and my static ports and all kinds of ones that are on other systems, etc. And then you can go ahead and put it to a file name and write it to a USB drive, and it makes a particular printer file out there in the USB drive .prt. Used to say, how do I open a .prt mgmt? Well, you use printer management, and then the opportunity is that when you want to bring it in, you can import from a file on the target machine and bring it across. But that takes the drivers, the settings, registry, everything it needed to make it play on the other machine. So I don't know how it got fixed on this machine so the other machine could use it, but I'm tucking that into my bag of tricks next time I try and do an upgrade for somebody. And it might just tell me, in some cases, I might not want to install the latest version of Win 10, but go on the older version, get the right drivers, and then upgrade and let Windows deal with the upgraded drivers rather than just saying you can't load that. Might take a little longer, but I didn't try to see if I had just installed 1903 and let it go right to 21R2, if it would have been okay, or if it had to go to 2004 first. I'm not sure where the upgrade happened that allowed it to fix the driver. But that's the kind of thing that you run into. I mean, the drivers, I think it'll tell you all the drivers that you want, and I'm not sure if it'll let you show anything more about it. Say, oh, here, set driver isolation, system default. Don't think that's it, though. I know there was some option on it. Yeah, it just tells me all the drivers that are in there. But these are the same drivers that were in the install script. Same names are the same names of the ones that would have gone into System 32 or drivers, it would be the right, 64-bit drivers. Two machines are both 64-bit, so I couldn't understand why 21H2 decided you can't have it. But it did. It just complained plain and said, no, you can't have it. And it was, the way I launched it was real simple. I went down here and I did print management. And you just type PRT, PRINT, and then it comes up and boom, that's how you get to it. Suppose if I type Spotify there, it would show me how to get to Spotify, but then I'd never be able to get rid of it, right?
Right. Don't do it, Ed. Don't do it.
Just say no. Don't go there. Yes.
That's right.
Does any-
Do it. I
You
gotta know.
does anything similar exist on Win 7 or Win 8?
I think you can get to print management on Win 7 as well.
Which,
I do it, but I drop you out of here when I was booted to Win 7 from this Win 10 image right now.
which by implication says Win 8 probably does it too.
Yes. Now, the thing you would do is you would try, at least attempt, if you're trying to go to Win 10 from Win 7, try and do an upgrade in place. Use an older copy of like 1903 or something that's closer to your hardware and see what survives when it does the upgrade.
Or just run the printer under Linux.
Or run the printer under Linux. But then I have to, like I said, then you have to have a Linux machine to share the printer, and you have to have a dedicated machine to do it. And I could probably hook up a Raspberry Pi to do it, but it's already shared on the network. I just need the Windows interface. And it probably wouldn't play even if I had it as a remote printer, because it still wants to know something about the printer that has to be shared.
Welcome to the world of proprietary software.
Yeah, yep. And I think it's really on the Windows side, because that's the reason I keep this printer around. I mean, it's an Ethernet interface. So it's on my network. I even have it hooked up with I did purchase a package. It's one of the one of the few things I've ever bought through Google Play. And it's called Printer Share. Okay. And it looks like this. I can't. Oh, okay, let's try it. There it is. Good. Okay, Printer Share. And what it allows me to do, okay, is I can select my HP 4000, okay, and I can print on it. I could always print with my brother wireless printer, or it's not wireless, but it's connected up to the network and is accessible via wireless. Yes. So it just went and printed a test page. Good. Good. But I've been able to do that with things that I've either downloaded a PDF on my phone, and sometimes I don't want to try and print to the brother printer because it's color ink, and you know what happens with color ink when you print too much. You have to go get more ink cartridges, and they're never cheap. But with a laser printer, that's one of the nice things about one of the old HP laser printers. You go get a laser printer cartridge, you're going to spend between $75 and $100 for the printer cartridge. That sucker is going to print 20,000 pieces of paper before it gives up. And even then, you can probably push it after that for a couple thousand more. And just about every other cheap laser printer I've ever seen, you either have to replace the drum at every 6,000 or 10,000 copies, or you have to replace you only get 2,000 for a toner cartridge, and you have to replace those continuously, and they're not cheap. They're $30 or $50 a piece. But with the HPs, with the standard size HP toner cartridge, which is refillable, I've never refilled them. I just buy a new toner cartridge. It's black and white only, but they just they crank it out. They keep on going. And you don't have to have them really rebuilt until they've gone through about 200,000 copies. That's a whole lot of paper. When I picked up this machine originally, somebody had printed something into it and it got tangled around the drum, and they were going to basically send it out to the garbage at the Motorola facility I was at. And I basically spent a lunch hour or two over it and took it apart and took a piece of what looked like Tyvek from around the drum, which was a piece of paper that had been cooked on there for a while, removed that and got it to print with the manual paper tray feed because the other ones had the rollers poured out. So I had taken another printer in to be serviced at Laser Service over in Elk Grove Village. And I asked these guys, I said, hey, I got this HP 4000 TN. It's got a duplexer on it. And it's got 93,000 copies on it. Is that a lot? And he said, well, that printer was designed for 60,000 copies per month. So as long as you replace the rollers, as long as you replace the fuser cartridge every 200,000, I think it's had a one fuser cartridge replacement. And I have a roller kit for it that I haven't put in yet. It's about due for a roller kit. And the rollers themselves can snap in and snap out relatively easily. You don't even need tools for them. And they cost like about $12 a piece either. So nice piece of equipment. Unfortunately, it is 24 years old and it only runs at 10 megabit on the Ethernet. But because I have a switch between here and there, I have 1,000 base on some of the place. I have 100 blade base on others. And there's one port on there that goes down to 10 for it. So it takes a little while for it to download stuff into the printer because it always wants to send bitmaps down to the printer. But once it starts going, it's about 8 pages a minute. And the best the heaviest stock I've ever run through it was invitations for one of my daughter's weddings. And I used 105-pound stock. Had to run it basically straight through the printer without it putting it into the paper tray, just run it through the back, straight through one pass. But it was able to do it. It was okay to do 90-pound stock. And I thought, well, man, let's try 105, because that's what I had. But I was able to print. Not too many printers can support that kind of stuff. So what's your favorite printer, Sid?
I have a really good pen. I've had it for years. It's a nice pen. It prints really well. But actually, to your question, right? I use them until I run out of the cartridge empties, and then I use a new printer. I've been doing that for a decade. I was telling somebody I got the printers cheaper than I can get the cartridges. So I've gone through 5 printers so far, and it's not biggie, and you just, because the printers were $59 each, and the toner would be more than that. Right now I've got a brother and a Samsung. The brother is a mono, the Samsung is a color. They both do duplexing, and they're both network printers. So they work just fine for me for that. I was curious, you export that package. You think that would load on an 11 machine?
Don't know, but you could try it.
I'd have to have the printer, the same printer though, which I don't. But.
Well, you have to have the printer working on an older operating system so you could export it. But it was very happy to bring it in on the other machine, even though this was the same operating system that refused to load this driver I got off of the Microsoft website.
I think that's brilliant. I love this. I hope you're going to put the slides up.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I thought this was brilliant. I really love it. The weird one that I get is CCleaner. I have two 10 machines. One, Windows will pop up a box blocking it, saying it's not supported. The other 10 machine will run it just fine. I don't know why. And it's weird because the 11 machine will run it just fine.
All right, let's see. This is the one I think when Win10 isn't Win10. Right there. Good.
Now,
Okay.
Ed, with your printer driver, do you think there's a certificate issue?
Yeah,
Signed kind of thing?
I don't think it's a certificate because the normal file that I tried to load in on it is one that I downloaded off of Microsoft, and it's off of the driver website, and it's the 5th one down for HP printers, and it's a 64-bit. And let me see if I have it here.
And that still wouldn't go.
And that's still what I took it off of this machine because that's where I loaded from was on this machine. Took the same file from here, took it over there. Let's see, trying to remember which one this was. Did this, it expanded into this LG 4000. Let me go share this window here. Let's see. Okay.
That was just a thought.
Yeah.
Certificates.
Okay. So let's minimize that. But I don't think there's much there. Wrong. Let's do this. Okay. Here is some of the files that I pulled right in off of the Microsoft website.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, and then it was still looking for the other kinds of drivers that would work. And but this is when you run one of these, this is self-extracting zip, and it puts it into there, and those are the files. Those are them right there.
Okay.
And I copied those files across into a directory and pointed it right at it, and it said, nope, you can't run them here. Okay, so what did you do magic to make it work? Print management converted it. It got upgraded through one of these releases from 1903 to 2004, or from 2004 to 21R2, 21H2. One of those steps upgraded it, and then it made it fine. It was able to load it in, and I mean, and it's not a lot of modules there. It's just a handful right there.
Right.
But it didn't like it because, and some of the other places I've looked where it tries to explain what it is, you have to allow you have to turn off the security exception core protection. Well, I don't have that option even on either of these two machines.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. I don't have TPM 2.0. I don't have the process protection, memory, fault protection.
Yeah.
Doesn't exist.
Now, Sid, on your CCleaner that Windows wouldn't run, did you have any difficulty with the installer being marked as a suspicious download?
No, because I use the portable apps version.
That's the problem. That's the problem. Windows does not like the portable apps versions of quite a few utilities. CCleaner is one of them.
But the same version works on Windows 11 and my other Windows 10. It's only one of the Windows 10. And it's the same portable app version. And it will run on 10, it will run on 11, but it won't run on the other 10.
You didn't tell it on that one that doesn't run on that it's okay to run it here? Like it thinks you just downloaded it?
It specifically knows it's CCleaner. It's a specific CCleaner message.
Okay.
And what you need to do is click on the little almost invisible link and have more options, and then click run anyway. Do that once and it'll run forever.
Oh, okay.
Until you upgrade it.
Yeah. What happens if you do run it in, well, I'm assuming you got it run in administrative mode too, right?
Because that is not always a valid assumption for CCleaner. Glare Utilities always runs with full privileges, system-wide. CCleaner, the free version, is per user. And so it could be running with limited privileges, which could also be your problem. It could be a limited user account.
Yeah, no, it's running on my, actually I'm an administrator equal account, since I'm the only one on the machine. It's one of those Windows weirdnesses that just are there to tease you.
Yeah, my CCleaner, when I run it, always wants admin privileges to run. So it has the intercept to pop up to run for admin.
Interesting. Ed, is yours the free version?
Version 5.89, it says. Oh, it just upgraded. I'm doomed now. I am doomed.
Free or paid?
It was a free one. I'll just uninstall it and put the other one back, because I have the other one previous to this.
You can do that.
That's the nice thing about portable. You can just copy the directory and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I have it. I have the original thing I downloaded. So I'll just uninstall it, put the other one back and tell it never to upgrade. I mean, I found one version that when they first had to upgrade it to do for Windows 10, because the ones that I had standardized on weren't happy on doing that. Let's see if I can find my tools here.
But anyway, this whole thing about it won't run is a Windows Defender issue. And so it's Windows Defender you need to tell this is okay. That's what that little pop-up box is doing.
And you're not getting a pop-up box that's hidden behind the program, are you, that you don't see? So you can't check it to tell it it's all right to run it?
Yeah, I don't think that's the case because usually I run that before I run anything else because I clear all the browser caches. So I run that first thing after booting. So there's really nothing else open at that point.
Well, every once in a while I get something that when I try to run it, I can't figure out why I can't run it. And then I'll start moving things around and find out the security box is behind it, the one waiting for a check mark. And once I can bring it out where I can check it, then it runs fine.
Yeah, I've seen that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, software is getting more and more sneaky in a lot of stuff. I think it was Bob who was talking earlier on setting stuff. Garmin software, every update turns on the switch to run at startup. Every single update turns it back on. You go and turn it off and back on.
Yeah, that is the same thing that happens with Glare Utilities.
And it's easy enough for them to do logic in the installer to say to just keep that setting, but they just want to keep turning the damn thing back on again.
Oh yeah, because
doing the same.
Yeah, the thing is, if you don't have it firing up automatically, how can it nag you to upgrade to the paid version?
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. I'm back to my normal CCleaner now.
All right.
I had the old ones that install on top, make it go away. Boom, done. Turn off updates.
Yeah.
I don't know. For months I've been trying to find a replacement for CCleaner. It isn't what it used to be.
That's why
it's an adware thing itself now.
That's why I installed the old one, because that's how it used to be.
Yeah. Well, there are things, I don't know how well it works in Windows, but there are programs like BleachBit.
Yeah. Well, you have to get almost your list of programs that don't install bloatware anymore. I mean, there's ones that I would, almost always just go ahead and install, and I never had a problem with them. And then all of a sudden, some of them started coming bloatware, and after I recommended to somebody and they got a virus in, like, whoa, what happened? Oh, I installed this other stuff as well. You shouldn't have. I didn't even know that existed. And CCleaner was one of the ones that happened to go that route.
Yeah.
You
have to uncheck all kinds of stuff and look for little sneaky things they do during the installation and the upgrade.
Yeah, especially trying to install McAfee. Like the only machines I've ever had to clean that had viruses had McAfee installed for their antivirus.
Yeah. They also do Avast.
Norton and McAfee have both become viral as far as sending notices about your expiring and you need to
those are just spam messages. That's not even from them. That's just spam, because I don't have McAfee. The last time I had McAfee on a machine was a Windows 98. So if I see somebody sending me an email about my McAfee subscription is expired, I know it's spam automatically. Just like if somebody says, oh, somebody tried to log into your Facebook and they send it to my Outlook account. And I said, well, my Facebook account doesn't know anything about Outlook. It's got a different email address.
And I don't have a Facebook account. That's better yet.
That's even better. Yeah. I mean, I get at least 2 or 3 of those. And I mentioned this last month. I'm not sure if how it's, how they're getting in, but almost every single one of these messages is sourced by spoofing an Azure server's host IP.
Right.
They're spoofing various hosted machines' IP address. And when the message is actually posted into Outlook, because I've been finding this mostly in Outlook and not on Gmail, not on Yahoo Mail or any other mail, specifically Outlook, the delay between when the message was first sent and it hits the first server is at least 5 minutes to as much as like half a day between the time between when you take the whole header, log in and or go and get to the Microsoft email header analyzer, paste it in, click analyze, and then you look at the hops and see how many, it should be milliseconds for each hop, right? And all of a sudden between the first and the second, it's got 5 minutes, or it's got, half 1,800 minutes, more than a day between the two hops. Like, okay, something was wrong here. The other machine was down. It really wasn't there. And it's a spoofed static IP. And it's almost always an Azure server. Every single one, if I try and resolve the address of the IP address, it's an Azure server, which is not powered on. Because if I try and ping it, I try and trace route to it, try and do anything with it, it's not on the net.
Yeah, run into that too.
And the static IP is almost always something.server.de. So it's some crazed German out there, or wants to be a German. It's probably really a Russian masquerading as a German.
I get AUs and KAs also once in a while.
I'm pretty good about those, and I don't have too many of those. I mean, I have my friendly Nigerian prince that wants to send me money every once in a while.
My major source of spam is it looks like Watantire, but I think it's Japanese Watantiri. And that's the domain.
Yeah.
And then there are these domains with funny characters in them.
Well, they're basically spoof domains. They're not real domains. Yep. And the only thing you can trust is either the IPv4 or IPv6 address that may have been sourcing it.
So these might have been from those same Azure servers for all I know.
It could have been. I mean, sometimes I've looked at the address and see where the address thinks it reports from. This is when it used to look like it came from the middle of Australia near Ayers Rock.
Yeah.
It was where it said it was. But if you did a trace route and then looked at the previous hop before it, and it goes through Romania, Romania is not sending a link right to Ayers Rock. Mm-hmm. So what they're doing is in Romania, they're probably spoofing the BG Border Gateway Protocol that says, "Oh, Australia's here now. Until you call me a liar, this is Australia. I'm going to send some email now." Boom, 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 boom. And then they drop off and they disappear, and the Border Gateway Protocol heals itself, removing the errant place and denying anything further from that until they try it again. But I heard they were going to start protecting Border Gateway Protocol to validate when people are trying to do this. So that should cut down on some of the spam. There was something else that came up that I wanted to mention. Did you notice that some VPNs now are going to be blocking BitTorrent?
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah.
That's always been the case. VPNs have done that forever. And
they're specifically inhibiting BitTorrent protocols that are going through them on VPNs, on certain VPNs.
Didn't I see something about Microsoft coming up with a VPN?
I didn't see that one.
Neither did I.
They wanted to add it. They wanted to add it in as part of the Defender system. It was going to be offered. And it was a free one. It was a free one. That was the part that I couldn't figure out.
Sure, it's free.
That's from Microsoft.
Yeah, I'm from Microsoft, and I'm here to help. Yeah.
If you want a nice free VPN, use Opera. The Opera browser has VPN built into it. It works well. It's only for browser activities, but it's free. It has a nice little on-off switch, so you can turn it on when you want it and off when you don't.
And if you want to be even more anonymous, well, you get that flash drive out with tails on it and fire up the Tor system and have at it. You know, it's going to be really hard to track you when you keep bouncing through half a dozen points in Europe and, west coast of USA.
Yeah, but back as to VPNs, that goes back for years. Companies like CyberGhost, you can use torrent if you go through the Canadian nodes, for instance, but not the US nodes. In other words, certain countries, they will not allow torrents to go through those start points. But if you connect to one like Canada, it just works fine. So you can do that just fine.
Okay.
And without any problem. And some of them have specific servers for VPN use. And others not. So that's been forever, though. And the free VPNs are almost all blocked for use.
Okay. Yeah, I just saw that pop up, and I said, okay, well, for those people that want to run BitTorrent on their machines and do it themselves, they will have to find some other place to do it from. Or you just pay the money and have your seed server out there somewhere in another country.
Yeah,
that works too.
I suppose. Although I see less seed servers these days than I did in the past. I don't know if they've been cracked down on, but you used to see a lot of the seed server companies advertising it around. I don't see them much anymore.
Well, there's still one out there that my son-in-law has graciously allowed me to share, and it seems to work fine. And with my i5 machine, I'm able to steadily download about 20 megabytes per second and secure FTP. So it's not a problem, or it shouldn't be a problem. I didn't even check to see what kind of I should see how many bit encryption I use on that. Not sure if I can tell easily here or not. All right, let's look at this. Nope, I'm not going to install the new version. Let's see what it says. Okay, transfer settings.
Hey, Sid, I sent you a
Yeah.
text. I sent you a
Yeah,
chat.
I'm grabbing the page here. To send. I'll send you the link of the Slick Deals page, which discusses it and then has the link to go to the T-Mobile one. And it does have to be a business account. It has to be a business account.
I thought you said magenta plans.
It is, but it's business magenta. And from what some of the people in the thread say, it's fairly easy to qualify because they're single proprietor businesses that aren't corps. I happen to already have an FEIN number as well as a state tax number, so. But it's specifically T-Mobile business side for this.
Yeah.
And as always, your mileage may vary, so you should have the link now.
Can I use a VIN number from a company that's bankrupt?
It depends what level of idiots processing it at T-Mobile. Some people have had luck going into the stores on this deal.
Interesting.
And another issue come up on this two-level security thing, that when you go to check in on your bank and some of those, they'll have to send you a code. And in case you have it only on your phone and you don't have a backup email account, which could also be used, and your phone disappears and goes for a walk someday, and you want to get something out of the bank, you can enjoy the fun you're going to have trying to do that.
I'm just surprised when I did move to a new machine on how many sites had to revalidate me with the out of band technique. You're like, okay, I didn't have this one saved, didn't have this one saved. I mean, I had the password someplace, that I could retrieve. I had, I knew what the password was, but it says, but I have to validate your machine. I'm not happy with your machine. Yes.
Mhm. Yeah, and some of them every 30 days you have to redo. The cookie only is good for 30 days.
Yeah. Well, usually I'm in more often enough that I don't have to worry too much about that, because it keeps on getting refreshed. I'm kind of anal in that respect. I like to check to see if the money is still where I left it. Somebody's going to take something out of my account, I'm going to be on them like a chicken on a June bug.
Wait, a chicken on a June bug?
You've never heard that term before?
No,
That's an old one.
I don't even know what a June bug is. So
It's also known as a May beetle. You've never been around You've never been around a collection of chickens, okay? Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
My grandfather raised chickens, and I spent a summer down in Tampa area on his how many acres he had, 10 acres or something. And he had chickens, and we'd have to go and get the eggs and such. And it was real interesting about any sort of bug or this is Florida, so anything around a chicken pen with lots of chicken droppings is going to collect certain classes of bugs. One of them being cockroaches. So if you would go in and lift up the roost where the chickens were sitting on, and there was like maybe about 1,000 or 2,000 cockroaches that left that all started moving, and the floor would just start becoming brown. The chickens would be in there. Every single one of those 50 chickens that were in that cage would be in that coop with you, eating those cockroaches. And you just had to hope that they didn't get your foot when they were stabbing all those bugs. Not one escaped. The other thing they liked was the little green tree frogs that would hide on the banana trees. Every once in a while, one of those would jump into the chicken pen. The first chicken never got it. He would stab it with his beak, and he'd have this tree frog stuck on his beak, and he can't open his beak. So he's running around, and there's 49 other chickens chasing him around until it finally gets pulled off of his beak, and he's not the one to get it. That is, if I could get a YouTube picture of that, I would generate about 6 million hits in the first day. That is just hilarious. But yes, I have been around chickens. Chicken on a June bug is a sight to behold. Yes, they like that crunchy chitin. Gone. But yeah, they're also known as May beetles. Those are the things that fly on your screen in late May, early June. Yeah, big, brown, ugly things. Yeah, just look up June bug on Google and you'll know what I mean. And if you see a picture of Volkswagen, that's not what I'm talking about. Okay. Any other comments? The presentation, other things, thoughts? This one I put together was because it became immediately apparent that things were different, and I wasn't sure if other people knew about this. And when I stumbled on that little tidbit on the print management, I said, oh, this one's too good. I have not seen this before. So if it works, great. But if it doesn't, remember your mileage may vary. You may only work between the same versions of the operating system when you transport it. But if it works that way, that's one way. That's one less worry about trying to find the right driver. And I never can find the right driver, and I rarely trust some of these driver update sites. My own personal policy had been, if the manufacturer doesn't have the driver you need, and your computer manufacturer doesn't have the driver you need, and your operating system doesn't have the driver you need, you better find a way to get around it.
So, Ed, have you ever tried the trick of exporting the driver's store from System 32, and then later on using that as a source?
I've never got that to work.
Okay.
Every time I've tried to do that on previous operating systems, it's never been successful.
Okay.
Okay, something it complains about when I do that. Okay, but I've tried to do that, export the driver store, because I'm usually missing something, either the configuration or I'm thinking there's something in registry settings that isn't also exported.
Yeah, probably.
And that's usually the killer right there. If you don't have the right registry, I'm sorry, this isn't installed properly. You have to reinstall it. That's typically what you see when you just try and drag over the driver store.
Okay.
So you'll have the driver, if you can sort of get the checks to install it, and then it says, oh, I already have these drivers present, I can go ahead and continue installing, then you're good. But if you don't get to that point, or it needs some registry settings to say I've already got it installed, then you're never going to get to that point. Usually, I've been more successful with USB devices that, I already seen this one before, so I don't have to reload new software for it. So it's already there. But yeah, I mean, that's on my top pet peeve list, that, and when I get to USB devices that just stop running for some reason, and it's a controller issue of the USB plug-in device, something in that little chip out there has stopped working. And there's no way for you to diagnose it further, no way to really go in with, I mean, there's some things you can do on USB, but one particular thing that I had done was I had a serial port connection that I used to interface to some devices. So they had a serial port, a TTL level serial port that I would plug into with this adapter. And I would do 115 kilobaud to the device, and you were able to make changes to it. The tool that we had to use most of the time was Hyperterm on Windows XP, and that worked very reliably. But there's a very significant way of how you had to use it to make it work. But we worked up a procedure, and that worked fine. When I tried to use Win 7 and copied Hyperterm across to use it to do the same thing, it would sort of work, but not always, because there was more of a delay because of the way they changed how USB drivers work under Win 7 and later releases, where they broke it into two parts. And so the first part deals with the hardware and the second part deals with the software. And there was a delay between the two ports getting into memory at the same time, and it would time out. So I would never be able to make my connection to the device in time unless it was just timed right and you were on a slow enough machine that was busy doing something else, and it would just make the connection and Hyperterm's working. But if you had a fast machine, it wouldn't work. There was a race condition that would hit. And of course, I could have bought a version of Hyperterm for the Windows 7 or newer ones, but never got around to doing it. So, I mean, I even tried, when it was more really at the driver level where it would load in, not so much the program upstairs. It was at the driver level. So however they wrote the driver for this device, that's the issue. So, and nobody happened to have the source code of the driver currently, and yeah, it was a nightmare. It was a chip level drive. It was a chip level interface from TI, because that was the chip inside that supported this. But yes, very detailed USB lower level driver classes issues. So nobody else has gotten into that level with USB drivers. Yeah, not typically common unless you're doing very low level stuff with IoT devices. So, any other comments? Suggestions for other programs? Anything else that you really got to see? I know I still have Sanford's choice. He wants to do HDMI. I'm still working on that one. Everything HDMI. How about wireless HDMI? Would you like to see that too?
I have one of those.
You do?
Yeah.
Does it work well?
Used to. I haven't used it in a while.
We're talking about putting a very large screen TV on the wall over a church and then trying to drive it with a laptop that's not going to run a 25-foot HDMI cable to, or 50-foot HDMI cable. So we're going to try and do the wireless route, we believe.
There is a problem with lag. The video and the audio don't synchronize.
Okay, so I'm not intending on using audio for the most part on these devices, but I may try it. We'll see.
Why a laptop?
Pardon?
Why a laptop?
Lion laptop.
No, why a laptop?
Why a laptop? Because
versus
the
a
laptop
PC.
Well, PC laptop, because that's where my source is coming from. It's probably running a PowerPoint presentation, or it's probably running Easy Worship software, and it might have an NDI driver trying to drive into the video feeds.
Okay.
So laptop seems to be the easiest choice because we don't like dragging a desktop back and forth every time we want to put it out there, because somebody's usually out in the first pew running this thing to a projector.
How about a micro PC?
Same difference. It could be it could be a small PC, but the problem is making sure that we got the right updates, and if Easy Worship can be loaded on it easily enough. I'm not sure what it supports, but parts of it with the NDI driver support will work better to Facebook Live and other things like that we may want to consider using. We haven't gotten there yet, but we're using OBS server and NDI interfaces. And part of the issue with using the laptop and PowerPoint is PowerPoint to a second monitor screen sometimes doesn't update the video buffer for NDI. So you just got to go into OBS server and find the NDI device and just refresh it and get the latest copy of the slide. But one of the things we were talking about doing is, instead of using a projector, is to use a 96-inch TV screen, big LG.
Yeah, and Ed, where it's available, I have found that Miracast syncs up better than wireless HDMI.
Yeah, I know there's a couple of Miracast, and then there's the LG version of Miracast. I can't remember its name. But both of these, if we get another set, it'll probably support Miracast as well. So we could use Miracast, but I'm not sure what my pollution looks like on the 2.4 gigahertz in that area.
Yeah.
That may be an issue. I know that I think some of these wireless HDMIs can do 5 gig, but I'm not sure. I was going to look.
Mine was always 2.4, but more recent ones are 5, and that may solve the sync problem.
Oh, that would definitely solve most of my synchronization issues. It's not like I'm driving 4K content either. The highest we'd ever use is 1080 because the sources that we've been using is at best 720 or 1080. So it's not like we're trying to drive a 4K screen. I don't know. Yeah. I think 4K screens are kind of nice, except when you get 4K content and then you're looking at this. Why am I looking at this actor's pores on his face? I mean, that was when I first experienced seeing a 4K unit. Like, what kind of TV is this? I don't think I've ever seen people look like this before. These are imperfect people up here.
Hey,
yeah, go ahead.
A possible subject is, what is it, ATSC 3.0?
Okay.
The new television standard?
You actually think we're going to have a new television standard, or do you think Comcast is just going to buy all the local television stations?
No, I think there'll be another standard. The FCC will do it.
Well, the streaming services are taking up a lot more local content than they used to.
Yeah, they are.
My TiVo Stream and Pluto TV can get a lot of local stations.
And I see more and more stuff showing up on my Roku channels that weren't there before. There's like a Maker channel now. Have you seen that one? There's a Roku Maker channel. I think it's something like 452 or 453. And it's just and then there's a commercial every 15 minutes or something like that. It's not bad. But these guys are just making stuff, like, okay, that's kind of interesting,
But
Somebody,
if you research ATSC3, it's not just a broadcast TV standard. It
okay.
can also be used for streaming over the internet, and it's still ATSC3 standard. It's part of the 5G revolution.
Okay.
So they may fold it in with 5G subscription services.
We'll learn more about that when Ed does his presentation.
Yeah. What you need to do is research it, see how it all ties together.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up. Well, I put it on my list.
Yeah, because there's both internet and broadcast content together in some implementations that they've proposed for ATSC3, so that it's highly interactive.
Have you got a program file to put up tonight, Ed?
You mean
did.
I did. It's in the chat. Pull up your
okay.
chat. It's already been sent.
Okay.
It's just above where Sid posted for 9-night.
Yep.
Yeah, I was quick. Right on the button. Boop, it's out there.
Okay, good.
It's
Thanks.
more than once
I was surprised that 9-night's still around.
Oh, they'll be around for a long time because they are now one of the primary places to get clean freeware installers, including a Clean C cleaner.
What was
And
that? 9-night?
9-night. Their C cleaner is clean.
I'll have to look that up.
I've
It
used night for
9-night.
night.
Night.
I've used that for years. I don't know how many years. And if you keep the downloader in your download folder, once a month you go and double click on that same download installer, and it'll figure out what pieces of software have an update, download them, install them automatically, and skip those that have no update yet.
So where is 9-night corporate?
Any kind of free software. They've got a complete list of software there that's been out there for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the question is, where is 9-night based and who owns it?
Yeah.
I never got into that.
Yeah, follow the money.
Yeah, but they're not owned by any commercial entity like CNET or anything like that. They're not like that.
Package management system. So it's just a couple people. Well, it sure sounds like they're probably either Russian or Polish.
Could be.
Well, if it was Russian,
Or they
they'd
could
cut-
be in this
cut off.
country and they were from there.
Yeah, okay.
Because don't forget, Google was started by people from Russia.
That's true. Yes, yes. Sergey.
Yep. And the other guy.
Yeah.
And there's going to be more people coming here from Russia, I guarantee.
I'm sure there will be. And my grandfather could actually legally claim that he was he came from Poland, but back then when he came over here, Poland wasn't there anymore. Poland was part of Russia.
Right.
So, and he was of age to the point where the Tsar was looking for a few good men. So he decided to become a draft dodger and escaped over to the U.S.
Right.
And a couple of years later, he sent for the rest of his family to come over.
Parts of, about half of my family came from Western Ukraine and the part of Poland that was Poland, Lithuania. Now it's Belarus.
Yeah. My grandmother was born 7 miles from Czestochowa.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's about 400 clicks away from that border town that all these people are going through.
Yep.
Yeah. Amazing how this thing's, hopefully, maybe some of this will finally come to an end and somebody's going to step in and Putin is going to figure out this isn't working so well.
There's another scenario about how that ends without him surviving.
That works too.
And it's not us getting rid of him.
Nope, I didn't say anything about that. Yeah, I'll let his own people get rid of him.
who knows what happens? It's it's like well, I don't want to say which.
Well, didn't Elon Musk challenge him to single combat?
Yes.
I'm comparing this with certain Hollywood movies about organized crime.
Okay. Yes. All right. Pick a trunk. Yeah. Tonight you sleep with the fishes.
Well, that's what they do over in Russia. That's what the oligarchy is.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's the Russian mafia. Yes.
Yeah, well, enough
you know
about
where the Russian mafia is as it comes out of? I do. Because like Sicily is to Italy, okay?
Mhm.
Rostov-on-Don is to the Russian. I've been there. I've been to Rostov-on-Don. And then they told me about what, if you go to jail and you say you're from Rostov-on-Don, they will not mess with you.
Well, enough politics. And we have something posted about Bellark Advisor, of course. That always comes up.
Yes.
Yeah, I just installed the new version, which came out. I try to skip in between because it's a pain to download because you got to fill out forms to be able to download the free version. Because if you're personal use, it's free. But they really, if you run any kind of business or you do any kind of business activity or you work anywhere in an office, you can't use the free version. And they make such a big stink of going over that every time. So I only update every few times. It is amazing how much information is in their report, though.
Okay.
It's impressive.
I'll have to look it up. I know that I'm always reminded about, you can't use this for business purposes because TeamViewer is still one of the better packages out there when somebody's machine is dead and you want to try and, are hurting badly and you want to see what's wrong with it. So yeah, go ahead and fire up the TeamViewer quick support and I'll see what I can do, and, heal their machine. But that's
There's something I thought Sanford said earlier was with pop-up boxes behind stuff. Or it might have been Tim who said it, but pop-up boxes behind stuff. Bellark is the ultimate in that. There's a box that pops up and it's up there for like 2 seconds. And if you don't click on that box, Bellark doesn't run. It just stops because that box tells it what browser to put the report in.
Well, on TeamViewer, I was at a meeting recently, I think within the last 10 days, and a guy was a heavy user of Teams for support. I think he was using the free version. And he got the message from the people at TeamViewer that he was exceeding, I think, 13 a month or something like that. And they basically wanted him to go to a commercial license.
Well, I've always said, it's always free for support for personal use. And that's all I've ever used it for was, personal use.
But I guess that's what he was doing. But at the same time, too, he was supporting so many people wherever that it turns out that they flagged him as really commercial, not as an individual.
Wow. Well, the one thing I always, hesitated is if I had that much use of it, I would consider getting one, but they can't sit still with their version. And it's not like I buy one and I get free upgrades. I get point releases until they go to the next major release. And then they want another big chunk of money.
Right.
And it's not cheap. I mean, I used to pay for copies of the old PC Anywhere when it came out from Norton and use that through dial-up connections. And that's what I had to do. But, and there's probably other ways to do it now where you don't even need to use TeamViewer. There's other ways you can connect up to their machine and support them otherwise.
Well, with 10 and 11, you've got Quick Assist built right in. You don't have to go through remote desktop, which has security issues. In both Windows and Linux, you got AnyDesk. It's got some warts, but generally it sounds pretty good. I was hoping to get into a presentation on Wednesday night, but I never got the invite.
Okay. Which, to do any desk or?
Yeah, any desk. There's
Okay.
a guy, APCUG, that is our regional advisor that was doing a presentation to a New York group. I think it was called PC Techs. And
Okay.
it sounded like from the APCUG meeting, they were going to be sending out the link to that to let anybody at the APCUG meeting go ahead and attend. But at the same time, too, nothing ever came, at least to my site. So I don't know what the story was about that, but I would have liked to have seen it, see more information on how to, the good parts, the bad parts, pros, cons, whatever, on using any desk, because it does work on both of those. I don't know if it works on Macs.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that Quick Assist does the same thing like TeamViewer does. Both machines connect up to a common server,
Yep.
going right through the normal open ports on a firewall through port 80 or 1080.
Yeah,
And sending everything back and forth that way.
And an alternative that I've used in the past is Chrome Remote Desktop, an extension
I've seen that.
on Chrome browser. I've used that before. That works halfway decent, but there are some limitations on both Quick Assist and on the Chrome Remote Desktop. Sometimes you have to tell the other person how to do things for you. And also, when the UAC pops up on their desktop, you don't see anything. And it's just sitting there and they don't know what to do until they finally speak up.
Yep. Or it's behind a window that you don't see.
Well, I've never seen it even behind the view window, and that it's a case where, at least on Quick Assist, you never see the UAC that's up on the user's machine.
Okay. But I mean, there's been other times where I've had something, and I'm pretty sure it was with TeamViewer that I didn't see a UAC pop up along the way, but I'm not sure. I don't remember the circumstances, but there was something that had popped up.
Yeah.
And I didn't quite get it.
Well, see, the other thing too is on anytime I'm given support remotely like that, I try and make sure the person logs into the administrator's account and runs from there, because that then gives me a lot of good privileges as an administrator remotely. If they log in as the standard user,
You can't see the pop-up because it's coming up through the admin side. Yeah,
that's right.
Maybe that's where I saw it or didn't see it.
But the bad part is with some people's remote problems, it's on the standard account. They're trying to tell you or show you something, and it's not registering. So sometimes I have to get out of the administrator's account and have them log in as a standard, bring it back up, reconnect, and then I can see exactly what's going on, at least, if I can't direct them how to deal with it.
I think what I ended up doing was going into his account and then going to and making an administrator account, and then it was fine. So
it varies. There's lots of remote software, but some of it leaves some things to be desired. But I've always worked around them when I've helped people out.
Okay. All right. Well, I got some ideas for possible next meeting. And any other questions before we go here? Everyone got a copy of everything from the chat. Go ahead and grab it now. Okay.
Good meeting. Have a good month.
All right. Thank you very much.